Today's recipe is a French classic eclairs. I get a lot of messages from you guys saying that pate a choux just does not work for you no matter what you do. Your cream puffs or your eclairs come out flat and they don't rise. So I created a foolproof recipe that will rise no matter what. I mean, I didn't really do anything crazy. I just added like a little something, but we are going to be filling these eclairs with a vanilla pastry cream, a chocolate glaze, and topping it all off with some cocoa nibs. Stay to the end if you want to hear the full story time with receipts on how I almost got scammed for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. I know, I cannot believe it, but it happened. If this recipe seems like something you might be interested in, keep watching. First, let's get started on our craquelin. Craquelin is extremely easy to make. It's just equal parts of butter, sugar, and flour. It goes on top of your choux and kind of engulfs it in the oven, and it creates a really perfect, even pate a choux, and it gives the most satisfying, like crispy crunch to the top of pate a choux. So in the bowl of our stand mixer, we are going to place 100 grams or 7 tablespoons of room temperature butter, 100 grams or half a cup of sugar, and 100 grams or half a cup and 2 tablespoons of flour, and paddle that until a dough forms. Keep in mind that craquelin is equal parts by weight, not by volume. So the weight on a scale will be equal parts, but not the weight by cups. Then we can place our dough between 2 pieces of parchment paper and roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch thick. You do not want your craquelin any thicker than this. Then you can just slide this onto a sheet tray and place this in the freezer to solidify while we move on to our pate a choux. First things first, before we even start our pate a choux dough, we are going to crank our oven up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and let that get really nice and warm. In a pot, we are going to place 60 grams or 1/4 cup of water, 60 grams or 1/4 cup of milk, 56 grams or half a stick of butter, 4 grams or 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 2 grams or 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and bring that to a boil. In a bowl, we are going to combine 68 grams or half a cup of flour with 5 grams or 1 teaspoon of baking powder. The baking powder is acting as our leavening agent, which is going to make these rise no matter what you do. I've explained in the past that baking powder works by inflating air pockets that you've incorporated into your base. So later on, when we're adding the eggs into our pate a choux dough, we're going to be whipping a lot of air into this, so the baking powder is going to target all of those air pockets and make them inflate. Of course, if you do not have any problems with your pate a choux rising, you can just omit the baking powder, because then you'll probably have like these huge, enormous eclairs. That doesn't sound too bad. Once our milk mixture comes to a boil, we are going to stir in our flour and cook the dough for a few minutes until there is a thin film of dough stuck to the base of the pan. The purpose of this step is to evaporate some of the moisture that's in the dough. If your dough has too much moisture, it may not rise in the oven. Now we can move this dough into our stand mixer and begin to add in 100 grams or 2 eggs one at a time, allowing the egg to completely combine before we add in the other. Now allow your pate a choux to beat for another 2 minutes just to start to build some gluten structure, and then we can transfer our dough into a piping bag fitted with a star tip. I am piping the choux in 5-inch lines. Now there is really no secret method to perfecting your choux. Some people use silicone molds, which will help you achieve a really perfect base, but they can be quite expensive and not very practical unless you're doing bakery production. So there's no secret method to piping the perfect choux. It really just takes practice, but my best advice would be to just apply even pressure to get a really nice and even log as you're piping, and don't be afraid to move slowly here. You don't want to rush and risk stretching the dough, because then you'll get a dumbbell shape. Now you also want to make sure to space out your choux because they will expand, and we can pull the craquelin out of the freezer, cut it into 5-inch rectangles, and place that right on top of our eclairs. And these can go into the oven. We are going to bake them at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 7 minutes. Then we are going to quickly rotate the tray, drop the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and bake them for another 7 minutes. And then they should be done. Now let's move on to our pastry cream. In a bowl, we are going to place 240 grams or 1 cup of milk, 120 grams or half a cup of cream, and 1 vanilla bean pod. If you don't have vanilla bean pods, you can of course substitute this with 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract or 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. And we are going to bring this mixture to a boil. In a separate bowl, we are going to whisk together 50 grams or a 1/4 cup of sugar, and 30 grams or a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and whisk that until there are no more lumps. Then we are going to add in 78 grams or 4 egg yolks and whisk that until it is smooth, and then we can begin to temper our eggs. You guys know the drill by now. Tempering is a process in which we gently bring up the temperature of eggs to create a really silky custard. And the way that we are going to do that is by pouring our hot milk mixture over the egg yolk mixture, whisking that vigorously, and then transferring the egg base back into the pot and whisking that for about 2 to 3 minutes until the mixture begins to thicken and that floury flavor from the cornstarch has dissipated. Now we can turn off the heat and whisk in 85 grams of white chocolate and whisk that until the chocolate melts. Transfer this into a clean bowl, suffocate it with saran wrap, and place that into the refrigerator to cool while we make our chocolate glaze. Now our final step is this chocolate glaze. There are a few different bases that you can make to glaze a chocolate eclair. You can use a basic chocolate ganache, you can use a fondant glaze, or you can use a chocolate glaze like the one that I'm going to be showing you guys today. In a bowl, we are going to place 75 grams or 6 tablespoons of sugar, 59 grams or a 1/4 cup of water, 90 grams or a 1/4 cup of glucose or corn syrup, and bring that to a rolling boil. A rolling boil meaning a really aggressive boom, 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 boom boil. Then we are going to remove that off of the heat and add in 75 grams or a 1/4 cup of condensed milk, 120 grams or 3/4 cup of dark chocolate, and 38 grams or a 1/4 cup of cocoa butter. If you do not have cocoa butter, you can use coconut oil for this step. And then we are going to stir that until everything dissolves. And we are ready to assemble. For the assembly, we are going to poke 3 holes into the base of our shoe. I also fitted a piping bag with a small round tip and filled it with our pastry cream. And we are really going to fill this shoe until it has some weight to it. You want to really fill these up. There is nothing worse than biting into an eclair and it is empty. Then we are going to flip our eclair and dip it into our chocolate glaze and gently encourage all of the excess glaze to drip off. Then I place some cocoa nibs down on a piece of parchment paper, and I'm gently rolling the chocolate glaze into the cocoa nibs so that they all stick onto the surface. Those of you who might not be familiar with cocoa nibs or cacao nibs, they are dry pieces from the cacao bean, which is the fruit where chocolate comes from. They have a really amazing, satisfying crunch and a coffee flavor. Cacao nibs are very rich in antioxidants and lower your risk of heart attack and stroke. They are bitter and not sweet at all, which I think really complements the overall sweetness of this eclair and makes a really balanced dessert. We are going to add a touch of gold dust and we are all ready to dig in.
Ever since the day that you went away, you've been sending flowers, flowers to me, flowers today, flowers today. Instead of sending flowers, come back to me and hold me in your arms again. Flowers, flowers to me, flowers today, flowers today. Instead of sending flowers, come back to me
for another recipe. Eclairs are just a staple. They are iconic. Everyone has had an eclair. They are delicious. They are simple. And this recipe is perfect. If you made it this far, thank you guys all so much for your support. We did hit 1K subscribers. I announced the winner of the YouTube giveaway on my Instagram. A very nice girl named Wei Yi in Singapore won, and I am so happy. Even though I did almost get scammed. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you probably already heard this story. So this was my first giveaway that I had ever done, and obviously I'm not a large creator. I don't have like a really large platform or anything, but I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't get scammed because I've heard horror stories of people doing giveaways and getting scammed in the past, and I was like, this is not going to be me. It's not even possible to scam me. Like, I am not a dummy. I'm not naive. I am a very thorough person. So my verification method was going to be that I wasn't going to announce anything until I spoke to the real winner in private first. That way I didn't have people on Instagram like see who the winner is and try to duplicate their account before I could speak to her. My big plan was that I put all of the names into a randomizer, and then the winner was selected, and I was going to find her comment and I was going to respond to her, what is your Instagram? Because in my head I'm thinking only you can respond from your YouTube account. Like, someone else can't log into your YouTube account and pretend to be you. Little did I know that people can replicate your exact username, which is really scary. Shortly after, I got a DM from the winner saying, hey, you told me to message you on Instagram, but I was suspicious because it was the same exact username as the username on YouTube in the same exact profile picture, and I just thought, well, if I was a scammer, that's what I would do. But like, how many of us have the same exact username and profile picture on our YouTube and Instagram? So like, red flags were already popping off in my head. And I messaged this person back and I said, are you so and so on YouTube? And they're like, yeah, that's me. But they hadn't responded to my YouTube comment. So I said, in order for me to verify that you are really who you say you are, can you please reply to my comment on Instagram just so that I could verify that it is the same user? And they did that. It was the same exact username, it was the same exact profile picture. I'm thinking if it was a fake account, maybe they would have to change the like YouTube username a little bit, or like add an extra letter or something to make it not look so obvious, but it was the same exact username. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just being a little bit crazy. They passed my verification method. I guess that this person is really who they say that they are, and I'm just being crazy. So I'm talking to this person more on Instagram, but they're really trying to get the ball rolling. Like, I'm like, congratulations, you won. And they're like, wow, okay, here's my Gmail. And I'm like, what the hell, aren't you even gonna pretend to be a little bit more excited? Like, if it was me who won a giveaway, I'd be like, this is the best day of my life. So I'm like a little bit salty because they're not like really giving me the enthusiasm that I was expecting. And they're really just trying to get the ball rolling, and I'm trying to stall because I'm like, something is just not sitting right. And they're like, here's my Gmail, like, you can send the money here. And I'm like, well, like, what's your name and where are you from? This person keeps calling me ma'am, which I know is not suspicious, but it is definitely weird because no one has ever called me ma'am before in my life. And this person's Instagram profile was all a couple. Like, it was a boy and a girl. And the username on YouTube was very obviously a girl. Like, it had like Miss in her username. So I couldn't tell from the Instagram profile if it was the boy or the girl, but I do think that it was the boy. So I was getting very much boy vibe, but then I'm like, let me not be so judgy. So I'm like, what's your location? And he goes, the Philippines, ma'am, but I'm on vacation. And then now my red flags are really up because I'm like, if I want to give away, it wouldn't matter where my vacation location is, because you're not sending the money to the place where I'm vacationing, you're sending the money to me. So it wouldn't really matter where I was in the world. But again, they passed my verification method, so I'm like, you're just being suspicious because like you're sending a stranger money. So I'm inputting all of the information into PayPal to literally send to this person. I am about to hit send and I get a message on Instagram saying, oh my gosh, that's me. And I'm like, great, more people who are trying to get me for my money. So I'm like responding to this girl with like so much attitude. I'm like, girl, like I already spoke to the winner. And then this poor girl is like, what do you mean? And I'm like, are you saying that you are so-and-so on YouTube? She's like, yeah, totally, like that's me, like here's my profile. So I'm like, great, somebody call the Pentagon, like I need the CIA, I need help, like how am I supposed to figure this out? I don't even know what's real anymore now. So I go back to YouTube. The scammer who commented their Instagram account deleted their comment, so he's ghosting me now. And then I go to the girl, you're saying that this is you. She's like, yeah, that's me, I watch all of your videos. And I'm like, I'm literally a piece of human being. So I go, okay, respond to me on YouTube with your Instagram handle, which is the one that she's messaging me from now. And she does. And I'm like, well, I tried that once already, so obviously this verification method does not really work. So I call my fiance on the phone, like he's not in the FBI. Again, I really don't know what his job is, like normalize not knowing what your partner's job is. And after I said that on Instagram, so many of you guys were like, literally I have no idea what my husband does. And I'm like, yeah, that's because all men are liars, so they're just gonna lie to us about what their job is anyway. So the new Stonewall verification method we come up with is I'm going to go on Google, I'm going to pick a random picture of a cupcake, and then I'm going to tell her on Instagram, make this your new profile picture if you are really the owner of this account. And she does. She's like, okay, absolutely no problem. I feel so bad. I made this girl jump through like so many hula hoops, and she was literally just the sweetest girl ever. And the scammer ghosts me. So the audacity, he almost had me for my itty bitty monies. I was able to verify who the new winner is. Next time I do a giveaway, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do to verify who the person is. But the most crazy, psychotic, deranged part is that video had over 200 comments, and the scammer had to have literally been refreshing my YouTube comment section all the time to see like who I responded to, asking them, what is your Instagram? And by the way, I responded to a ton of other comments because you guys were throwing off some like really amazing desserts. So the second he saw me comment, he literally DM'd me within like 10 to 15 minutes. So he was really determined to get this $100, but you gotta be quicker than that. I also said on my Instagram, like I'm literally just teaching this person like what not to do next time they scam, but I guess it's my fault. I have to have like way stricter verification methods. I just have no idea what those verification methods are. So if you guys have ever done giveaways, or if you guys have ever been a part of a giveaway, please DM me some suggestions to verify the person better next time. But yeah, that was a story about how I almost lost $100. I would have been so tight. Like, people are really trying to get you for your itty bitty coin. But if you did not win this giveaway, please do not be discouraged. I will be doing a ton more giveaways as we hit more milestones. Again, I just have to figure out a better way to verify. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this recipe, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below some fall inspired desserts that you guys would like to see, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. You guys want to hear this crunch? Get in on this action. I've been trying to rush this audio portion so fast because my mouth has been watering waiting to eat this.
You went away.